The frick is a symbol of the Gilded Age. It was a term coined by the great author Mark Twain. To gild means to cover a surface with a thin layer of gold, if you will, to make things look nicer, to gussy it up. And arguably it sums up an era where a select few were living lavishly while many were doomed to poverty. My next guest is Robert Armstrong. He coined the different term TACO, standing for Trump always chickens out. I've always wanted to ask you in a second, is the notion that the president backs down from his harshest threats, most notably when it comes to tariffs. So how does the applicable term TACO used now? Robert Armstrong is wondering, what do you make of it? The tariffs we got yesterday, are they an example? Or is it a sort of an elongated tacorama?
What's really struck me is how little Trump has had to chicken out from. In other words, he's had a very easy ride from the markets up until just today, and very few countries, with the possible exceptions of China and Canada, have really pushed back on the president. So there's been no... For me, what the taco trade means is the president isn't actually that committed to these tariff policies. And if he faces pressure, he will back down. But there hasn't been any pressure.
Right, but he's got what he wanted. And you know as well as I do, he always wanted just a headline tariff number.
Yes.
He didn't matter, to some extent, 10, 15,
Right.
20%. It was the tariff number. What he's backed down from is the extremists.
Yes, and we will see if these tariffs do cause economic trouble, and we're seeing some sense of that over the last couple of days, will he remain firm in the face of that, or in the face of pushback from a China or a Canada?
What do you make of today's announcement on the BLS?
It's a scandal. This is a human being that he's accused of committing a very grievous crime without evidence.
I mean, to be clear, as far as I'm aware, and I cover this as much as you do, there's never been a scintilla of suggestion that the numbers are fiddled, dodgy, or weird.
It's hard to imagine, looking at the numbers as they have come out over the last couple of years, how they have particularly helped Biden or hurt Trump. It's, it sort of varies month to month. The conspiracy theory that the BLS is fiddling around sort of fails on its face.
And if you will, I'm trying to choose my words carefully because, because whoever does get pointed could be extremely respectable and legitimate, but they will be tainted from day one.
We won't be sure,
exactly.
Right? Even if they play it straight, that question will always be in our head. And this is a theme, of course, in the Trump administration, that there's one issue that's the policies, with you can agree or you can disagree. And then there's the way those policies are set, communicated, reinforced, which cause problems of their own.
I want to show you this chart. You'll be able to see it here. This is a flow chart, which was put together by Miller and Chevalier. You may have already seen it.
No, show me.
Look, this is basically, if you're guiding, I'll make it a bit larger on the screen for you. Not as good as I could be when you do these things.
Yeah, that's what I'm sure
you're
you're
doing. It could all go
great.
horribly wrong.
All right, there we go.
So this is the idea of which tariffs apply to my product. And if you're doing this, this is this. If you're doing that, it's this. If you're transshipment, it's doing this. From your understanding, nobody really understands where they stand.
Well, what we know for sure from reading surveys of what business leaders think is that ever since Liberation Day in April, they've been extremely uncertain about what is going to happen to their businesses, whether they should invest in their businesses, whether they should hire. And indeed, I think precisely what we saw in those negative revisions was that uncertainty crystallized in the numbers.
I wonder what would Henry Clay Frick, have made of it all? Because this is all the product of that Gilded Age where U.S. titans, Morgan, Carnegie, Mellon, Frick, went around the world buying up everything with their, and building out America.
I think there's a powerful metaphor there because, of course, in the days of Carnegie and Frick and J.P. Morgan, these men would march into the president's office and tell them what was what. And policy was set in rooms like the rooms we're sitting in right here. Is the Trump administration so different? The companies that have managed to avoid tariffs are the ones where the CEOs can get into the White House.
Right, but I hear, for example, Jamie Dimon and David Solomon of Goldman are due to have a meeting with the president. Who's got the upper hand there?
Well, the president always has the upper hand. The presidency of the United States is an office of terrible power, more powerful even than being the president of the CEO of J.P. Morgan.
How appropriate that we are here today. Good to see you. Have a lovely weekend.
Great
Thank you
pleasure.
very much indeed. Now,